I don't mean any harm. There's no need for the sword. I'll slowly come. Hello.
What's the meaning of this interruption? Jarl Balgrup is not receiving visitors.
Not to be confrontational, but if he was not taking visitors and audiences, one might expect that the Jarl would either sequester himself away from the main hall or lock the front door. But that is just me. In regards to audiences, I have news from Helgen about the dragon attack. You might have heard of it.
Well, that explains why the guards let you in.
Yes.
Come on then. The Jarl will want to speak to you personally.
Oh. Well, that certainly took a turn. Well, I suppose I'm here. Let's not delay the inevitable. Pardon.
Cause trouble in Whiterun and I'll haul you into the Dragon's Reach dungeon myself.
Well, I'm already halfway there. I come as a humble emissary for the people of Riverwood.
So, you were at Helgen. You saw this dragon with your own eyes?
That is a matter of putting it. Yes. I did see the dragon attack Helgen, nearly claiming my life on multiple occasions, and upon escaping the ruins, saw it fly over Riverwood and in this general direction. And I was then begged by the people of Riverwood to hurry over to here and seek your audience with regards to having protection. So, yes. In a manner of speaking, I have seen the dragon.
By Ysmir, Irileth was right.
Sure.
What do you say now, Proventus? Shall we continue to trust in the strength of our walls against the dragon?
They do fly.
My lord, we should send troops to Riverwood at once.
That'd probably be
It's in the
wise.
most immediate danger.
Don't know what you would do
That
against
dragon
it,
is
though.
lurking in the mountains.
The Jarl of Whiterun will view that as a provocation. He'll assume we're preparing to join Ulfric's side and attack him. We should not...
Enough!
You are a fool.
I'll not stand idly by while the dragon burns my hold and slaughters my people.
I respect you.
Irileth, send a detachment
Doing what
to
is right
Riverwood
for your
at once.
people, regardless
Yes, my
of
Jarl.
the...
If you'll excuse me, I'll return to my duties.
That would be best. Well done. You sought me out on your own initiative.
Yes.
You've done
sort
Whiterun a
of.
service. I won't forget it.
Oh.
Take this as a small
Oh.
token of my esteem. There is another thing you could do for me.
Okay.
Suitable for someone of your particular talents?
Ooh. Is
Come,
it...
let's go find Farengar, my court wizard. He's been looking into a matter related to these dragons and rumors of dragons.
Not necessarily magical. Oop. Pardon my stomach. I'm slightly hungry and thirsty, apparently. But I'm not necessarily the magical sort. But if your task at hand requires research on how to defeat dragons, well, that is one of my specialities.
Farengar, I think I found someone who can help you with
Yes.
your dragon project. Go ahead and fill
What kind of
him
books
in
must
with
I
all the
read?
details.
So the Jarl
Have
thinks
at
you
it.
can be of use to me.
Yes,
Oh yes, he must be referring to my research into the dragons.
that is what he said.
Yes, I could use someone to fetch something for me.
Ooh.
Well, when I say fetch, I really mean delve into a dangerous ruin in search of an ancient stone tablet that may or may not actually be there.
I'm not necessarily much in the way of a physically imposing individual suitable for fetch quests. I could certainly look into hiring someone on my behalf to get it and reap the benefits. I'm more well suited, Farengar and Jarl, for general research and educational implementations. And what does this have to do with dragons?
Ah, no mere brute mercenary, but a thinker. Perhaps even a scholar? You see, when the stories of dragons began to circulate, many dismissed them as mere fantasies, rumors, impossibilities.
Fair.
One sure mark of a fool is to dismiss anything that falls outside his experience as being impossible. But I began to search for information about dragons. Where had they gone all those years ago? And where were they coming from?
I'm mildly confused. Is this the first dragon that we've seen in Skyrim? Or have we seen others? Don't quite follow. Well, what I gathered is that you want me to go into some sort of barrow and track down a stone of some sort. Is that about right?
I, learned of a certain stone tablet said to be housed in Bleak Falls Barrow. A dragon stone, said to contain a map of dragon burial sites. Go to Bleak Falls Barrow, find this tablet, no doubt interred in the main chamber, and bring it to me. Simplicity itself.
You see, you say that, but I don't think that is quite true. And I suppose it does so happen that I have other duties calling me to Bleak Falls Barrow. Two birds with one stone, as they say. What can you tell me about this barrow?
An old tomb, built by the ancient Nords, perhaps dating back to the Dragon War itself.
Okay.
Ah, maybe you just want to know how to get there. It's near Riverwood, a miserable little village a few miles south of here. I'm sure some of the locals can point you in the right direction once you get there.
No, I was more interested in the history, in archaeological and anthropological importance of it. How is it that you seem to believe that there's this stone tablet depicting burial sites to be found within?
Well, must preserve some professional secrets, mustn't we? I have my sources. Reliable sources.
You mentioned Dragon War. What can you tell me about it? I'm not quite familiar with a lot of Skyrim's history. I was more preoccupied with Cyrodiilic.
I'm not surprised you've never heard of it. Even I used to think it was just a myth. But not anymore. The Dragon War was a real event, although only the barest glimmer of the actual events has come down to us. Far back in the Mythic era, the dragons were worshipped as gods in Skyrim. Many of the monumental ruins that still dot the landscape were in fact built as temples to the dragons. The details are lost, but at some point, the Nords rebelled. After a long and terrible war, the Nords overthrew their dragon overlords.
Well, that's rather impressive, if true. So were they all killed? Well, I guess clearly not. They banished? Sealed away by some ancient magics?
Oh no. Many were killed, of course, but many survived into historical times. Why, this very palace was built by one of Balgruf's ancestors to hold a captive dragon. Hence its name, Dragon's Reach.
That seems rather ill-advised. Housing a dragon within what seems to be a rather flammable environment. Or was it more ill-advised to let it roam free? I don't know. Suppose they capture it, he burns the place down and then is free to go anyways. I hope there was stone where it was kept. Not to be presumptuous, but in my limited time here, I've not noticed many magic folk. Are you the only wizard here?
I believe I am, yes. Technically speaking, of course. The city is also home to a priest, priestess, an alchemist, and I'm sure others who
fair.
practice. Ah, that reminds me. Speaking of alchemists, I have some frost salts for Arcadia. She asked me to obtain them for one of her potions. Would you be
Very
so
well.
kind as to deliver the frost salts for me? I'm sure Arcadia will provide some form of recompense.
I am not an errand boy. I'm a highly regarded scholar where I come from. Though, that seemingly means very little here. And having an alchemist, and presumably a court wizard, in one's good graces, or being held in the good graces of, might be beneficial. Therefore, I accept the delivery task.
Good. You're
Don't-
clearly better suited
I
than
walk
I am
past
to carry
them
out such a
anyways.
menial task.
I do not appreciate that tone. Don't care much for learning about magic. And I presume, and I have a fairly good idea that this presumption is to be true, that you have not encountered any dragons. Would that be correct?
Sadly, no. My work affords me few opportunities for such an adventure.
I'll trade you.
Perhaps some hero will bring one to Dragon's Reach, like old Olaf one I once did. What a fascinating conversation that would be.
Mm-hmm. Well, don't look to me to do that. Well, what happens to be your duties as a court wizard? Is it just magical solutions to otherwise mundane problems?
I'll put it simply so you'll understand. I advise the Jarl in matters of magic. If the Hold is faced with any threats or mysteries of a magical nature, I am called upon to explain things and suggest a course of action.
I'm growing to dislike
Hopefully
you
that answer
more.
will satisfy you. Good day.
This is a priority now.
Very
Anything we
rude.
can use to fight this dragon, or dragons, we need it quickly, before it's too late.
Of course,
Yes.
Jarl Balgruf. You seem to have found me an able assistant.
That is what they say.
I'm sure he will prove most useful.
Succeed at this, and you'll be rewarded.
Ooh.
Whiterun will be in your debt.
In my debt. Hear that, wizard? My debt. Perhaps we can talk about educational and research employ and other opportunities such as that. Oh, maybe some sort of
Speak.
historical records. They have cards on your table. Very weird.
Yes, take care of it. But
Very well.
whatever it is you're talking about.
Yes, my lord.
I didn't catch that. Hello, young child. Hello.
Father says I'm too young to train with the sword, so I practice with my fists.
Need supplies? See Bellathor at his store. Sleazy little man, but he has good stock.
So I've gathered. I should make haste for the youth of Whiterun. We don't need them growing up into brutish professions, and that of more refined will do.
Need a blade?
Well, I'll take the rain over snow. But-
Stormcloaks, Imperials, dragons. Ain't no matter to me what I get. Let them come.
You are quite dumb. But I would take sunny skies over both. Good day, sir.
We Greymaids have been feuding with the Battleborns for years. There's no more bitter enemy than an old friend.
Interesting. Based on that, you must be a Greymane. Tell me about yourselves.
Oh, we've got an old saying. The Greymanes have lived in Whiterun since the first snows fell in Skyrim.
A long time.
Well, maybe that's not entirely true. But our clan's got a long and proud history of this old. We respect the old ways, the Nord ways. The Greymane has worked the Skyforge since before the time of my grandfather's father.
Skyforge means very little to me. It must be some sort of blacksmith, I would assume. And how about the Battleborns?
Aye, they're an old clan like ours. But they cast their lot with the Empire when the uprising began. Ulfred Battleborn made his money from farming and got himself some new friends among the Empire's nobles. Now he's in the Emperor's pocket like the rest of them, with no regard for honor and tradition.
I mean, there's a time for honor and tradition and a time to modernize one's thinking and prospects. Seems like both of you are not wholly wrong and wholly correct. And you used to be friends?
Aye, we used to be fast friends, though it was long ago.
Right.
We were two of the city's oldest and most respected clans. We could trace our histories all the way back to Ysgramor's companions. But then Ulfred got rich and decided he and his kin were too good for us simple, backwoods Nord folk. When the troubles began, he took the Empire's side. We haven't spoken much since then.
You mentioned an Ysgramor and the companions. Are there any relation to the companions over yonder? Suppose that'd be too much a coincidence.
No, they used to be something. Nowadays, they just squabble amongst themselves. Take my advice and keep away. You look too smart to get caught up with this bunch.
Very perceptive, but I just so happen to need people that can get jobs done that are physically demanding. And it seems like you have a little bit of animosity. Were you once part of them?
Well, when you get to be my age, you don't remember why you did much of anything. Only that it happened.
Okay, well, you've been rather helpful. I bid you a good day. Get inside and warm up. 'Cause that is what my plan is. Hello.
Once I've made enough money trading with the Khajiit caravans, I'm going to buy the bannered mare from Hulda.
That's wonderful.
Farewell.
I think I'll come back to that conversation at a slightly more dry time.
Ulfred, patron of the great clan Battleborn. I'm sure you know well.
No, and you don't go around proclaiming your name to the skies and every passerby. It's bad taste. And I'm quite perplexed how the individual there might be useful for alchemical pursuits. How you are able to freely preach Talos. I thought it was outlawed. And you lot. Frost salts take a little bit of high precedence.
You tried mercenary work? It might suit you.
Do I look like a mercenary to you?
I must be doing the dirty thieving and drunken doors. Been too long since we had a good bandit raid.
It's for the dark. Do. Fine, walk away. Got more pressing things to deal with.
Damn those gray mains do.
Yeah. Grey veins and battle bones and such and such. There it is. Yes, the alchemist is here. Right, she's the one that has Nightshade out front. I don't know. They.
About everybody in here. Give a holler if you have any questions.
Not so much questions, more. I have a delivery for you.
You look rather pale. Could be ataxia. It's quite a problem back home in Cyrodiil.
I don't recall asking for your diagnoses, but I do have frost salts from you from a Farengar up at the keep.
Ah, splendid, splendid. It's for a special brew I'm working on. A love elixir like none other.
Strange.
Maybe I'll test it on Farengar first.
Oh,
but I suppose you expect some compensation. Here. These potions should suffice.
Okay. Thank you. I get an impression that you're a healer of some sort. What with your unsolicited medical diagnoses?
Of a sort. I don't have formal training in the restoration school, but something just as good.
Yeah.
Within these walls, I have all that I need to brew a potion for nearly any ailment. If I had a septum for every case of rock joint or whitbane I've cured since I opened this shop, I'd be a rich woman indeed.
So what I gather is that you don't properly charge for your services. That's rather dumb. You should, charge what you're worth. Do the occasional, charity work and whatnot. Whatever. I'm not one to preach that. Have you ever thought of returning to Cyrodiil, out of curiosity? Seems like, based on our previous talks, your statements rather, that you spent some time there.
Why? Because I'm a proud citizen of the Empire? Because the Stormcloaks only want Nords in Skyrim? The Stormcloaks can rot in oblivion for all I care. I've lived in this city for 20 years. 20!
And I said nothing to diminish that. Out of curiosity, what do you have to sell? Me. Maybe purchase.
So you're interested in my potions and ingredients?
Mildly. I also don't have a lot of money. So. Okay. Oh, recipes. Rather expensive recipes. And a lot of just ingredients. Anything you'd be willing to buy off of me, I wonder. Could sell that back to you. Maybe, maybe not. I do like those. Nothing of real consequence that I would want to give you. Well, suppose that settles that.
Come back anytime if you need a remedy.
Yes. A Fury in Hulgir. Do you mind if I borrow this? Quite an avid reader and collector of books. Thank you.
I sell cures for all ills, and I'll be happy to serve you.
Yes, yes, so you have said. I would recommend, although I do like your setup, I would recommend some sort of safety rail or apparatus to protect your patrons from your open fire
Do
pit.
let me know if I can be of service.
I'll be fine for now. Blasted rain. Still coming down in torrents. What's this? Oh, I thought that was parchment. 8 o'clock. companions have sorted their differences and are willing to listen to my propositions.
Mister, could you spare a coin?
Ah, very well.
I'm so hungry.
Here.
Oh, thank you. Divines, bless your kind heart.
And what has brought a small child such as yourself to begging on the streets of Whiterun?
It's what Brennan said I should do.
I don't know who that
He's the only one
is.
that's been nice to me since Mama. Since she died. My aunt and uncle took over our farm and threw me out. Said I wasn't good for anything.
That is rather
I
rude
wound
of
up
them.
here, but I don't know what to do. I miss her so much.
Well, I will let the Jarl know. I am hopefully in good time going to be a valuable asset to him and the people of this city. But first, I have things to tend to in order to get to that status. I see that the fighting has stopped. I recognize you. No, I have questions. Pardon me. No? You don't want to talk about jobs? Okay, how about you?
Yes? What do you need?
Who can I talk with regards to soliciting your assistance on a few errands?
The Circle are the ones who parcel out the jobs. That's Ayla, Skyor, and the brothers, Farkas and Vilkas. Kodlak advises them, but he doesn't really give orders.
Pardon you. I'm not looking so much for jobs as to hire you for a job. You look important.
I haven't seen your face before.
Nope.
I'm watching you.
I'm new. Care to chat?
This is a place for warriors, new blood. What brings you here?
Well, I was hoping to hire your warriors for assistance in a few duties and matters relating to the hold. But seeing as you don't really seem the talkative sort, let's start by general history. Who are the companions?
Ask any fool around here and get a different answer. Mercenaries, warriors of honor, brothers and sisters of the blade, drunken rabble. Take your pick. I've been here longer than most of them. Even I don't know sometimes. I just hope they don't kill each other.
Seems like you need strong leadership. Why did you join?
I learned the ways of the blade in the Great War. Nearly lost my life outside the Imperial City. I came home to SKYRIM when it was all over, but I wasn't much good at anything other than fighting. Wandered around as a blade for hire. Was a damned good one, too. The money was good, and the women were good, and the drinks were good. But I was losing myself, my heart. I was lucky the companions found me. Now there's a reason to be fighting. The honor of my brothers and sisters is worth more than coin. Of course the money is still good. And the drinks.
Very
all
well.
right then.
I'm getting a distinct impression that the only way I'm going to get their help is by joining them. Which, if it comes to it, is not off the table, but not my first choice. I suppose for the present time, my first choice comes down to eating, getting some water in me, maybe a short nap, and then maybe taking a look in the dungeon for those rings, or the individual that knows about them.
Come on in. Just stoke the fire.
This is a local
Take a
favorite
seat
and
get the cold
one of the
out.
first songs
Yes.
I ever learned.
Hopefully I don't have to
Ragnar the Red.
repurchase my
Oh, there once was a hero
lodgings.
named Ragnar the Red who came riding to Whiterun from old Rorikstead.
No, I should not.
And the braggart did
I
swagger
just need to
and
cook.
flash his blade as he told of bold battles and
Focus.
gold he had
I
made.
don't have the necessary
But then he went quiet.
components
Red
and
when he met the
ingredients to do
shield maiden
anything.
Matilda, who
I love
said,
it.
Oh, you talk and you lie and you drink all our mead.
Pardon.
Now I think it's high time that
You're the
you lie
best.
down.
Can you be my father?
So then came
sing
clashing
you a
in
not-
spashes of steel as the brave lass Matilda charged in full of zeal.
Not particularly in the market for that.
You're always working.
Ah, yes, I can still sleep. Perfect.
When his ugly red head rolled around on the floor.
Fine. Let's have a seat.
Maybe he's the reason you're here all the time.
Eat.
Drink to
The
our
bard's got
youth,
talent.
to
I'll give him
days come and gone.
You just make sure his
Age
music
Eat,
of a
drink,
Yeah.
and let's have a look at that book and refresh our memory of that journal. First off, not okay. Well, such an well, there we go. Okay. So Mercenary's Journal, I think, is the one that we need. Ah, yes. Where were we? Our job was tracked down a member of extremely valuable rings. Where was the thing about Whiterun Dungeon? Ah, here it is. Finally, he explained further that he already hired another mercenary to find the rings. This thief was off to a good start, too. He located some, and even stole the ring of Khajiit in Whiterun. Shortly after, though, he was caught and imprisoned. Thief getting caught. Ironic. Sent an informant to Whiterun to get in contact with the thief. Go to Whiterun to speak, and carry on with the job. Okay. Took a room, bannered mare. Met with the informant. Thief was executed. Alright. There's a secret tunnel underneath the dungeon. And that's where the items are located. Okay. Of Fury and Hulgia. Of Fury and Hulgia. In her 29th summer of life, Fury, the huntress, met the warlord Holgeir on the field of battle. None remember what they fought over, for their love to come... What? Oh, for their love to come was so great it overshadowed all rivalries or disputes. They fought to a standstill, as their followers looked on, till her sword broke his axe, and his shield dulled her blade, and all could see they were equals. As the eagle finds its mates, so too did Fury find hers in Holgeir, and a time of peace came to the clans of the forest. But as the summer's warmth gives way to winter's chill, so too would this peace pass. But the snake came and bit Holgeir, its venom seeping deep into the wound. A wail greeted Fury's view as she came over the snow-covered mountains to the coast. She obtained an elixir from the Akavir and returned to the forest in haste. Though Holgeir could smell the winds of Savangard, she gave him the elixir and he was cured in an instant. But the snake bit Fury as she poured the last drop into Holgeir's mouth, and fatigued from her journey, she joined the ancestors immediately. Holgeir's grief was such that he built a tomb, and upon completion, took his own life that he might rejoin her. Well, that's quite Tragic.
Yes, Mum.
Oh, John, darling, you know you're the only
Drive out the storm
stone
cloaks and
dragging
restore
Nord for
what
me.
we own. Blood and our
That's
steel
my
we
girl.
will take back our
Excuse
home.
you.
You want a drink?
No, I am quite fine. Thank you very much.
Now please, no more questions.
I asked you no questions. You once again, for the second time in this day, barged into my room. People are so weird. Let's get some rest. That's 10. 6 hours should do. Okay. That guard is passing. We're outside of the keep. And of course it is still pouring rain. Let's see if we can locate this tunnel. See, I don't think they care much. Good evening. Just exploring, getting a sense for my surroundings. What's this? Ah, the dungeon. Just curious. Curious indeed. Stocks. The headings. Okay. Well, let's have a look-see. Hello. Not to intrude. Hi.
What is it, Imperial?
Nothing. I'm just... Hi.
You look tired, friend. The Bannered Mare has beds for rent.
Yes, I'm aware. Do you mind if I browse? I'm looking for an individual.
Fear not. Come dragon or giant, we'll be ready.
Right. No. No. I'm just looking for a friend, and it appears...
Judging by your armor, I'd say you're an Imperial scout. You're so well met.
Yes, of course. Empire and all. Nothing. Well...
Need supplies? See Belethor at his store.
No, I don't need supplies. It was more...
What is it?
Nothing. I bet you. This tunnel system that I'm seeing there is meant to let out further down. So, if theory holds, what in the world is that? I'm already soaked. Water? What's up? Skeleton. Okay. I'm rather concerned about a great many things. What do we got over here? A little bit more overgrown. Oh. Interesting. I need a key for that. I am intrigued. Anyways. Tree. My theory goes something like this. Follow the path of the water downstream. And at such a termination point, one is bound to find the entrance to the secret tunnel. No, guess I can't fit. Fair. Okay. I have a
settling in.
Not particular. I'm losing my train of thought. This way. I have a sneaking suspicion that this underground tunnel
mercenary work? Might suit
ends up outside the city. So, what we will do... Oh, I thought those were graves. I was gonna say, that is rather macabre.
Just us against the dragon. That you?
I can't afford to send anyone else. And we don't know where the dragon is. Your main job will be to keep an eye out and get the people to safety if the town is attacked.
Yes.
I don't expect the three of you to fight off the dragon by yourselves, but I do expect you to
that'd be
do
quite
your
the feat.
duty.
No longer.
Onwards to probably not much. Good day, gentlemen. You don't happen to know where a secret tunnel might be? What is with this place and no safety railings? I could have broken my neck. What do we have here? An armory of some sort. Yes. I keep... Oh, no. No, it's just gated. Shame. You people need to really focus on your safety protocol. It's just one misstep away from tragic death in any given part of your city. And for one... And I, for one, am not one that can abide by that. I see something in the wall. What is this? Could it be as simple as that? Damn. That would have been too simple. Well, the dungeon's on the backside of the city. So, if my theory holds true, it would likely make sense that this tunnel would also come out the back of the city. Perhaps not as I had first hypothesized, that it would follow the water down. There's the reach. Keep an eye open. I really do hope that this is worth it in the end. Maybe... Nothing yet. a good thing that there's not a lot of trees. This would be quite dangerous if it were. Nothing there. Gold ore. Some sort of pillar. The thought of me hiking amongst the rubble and stones of the fortress wall is rather absurd. Yet, here we are. No. This is the direct back of the keep. Perhaps I'm too high up. Oh. I think might have found something. Oh, well, apparently, someone was not expecting visitors.